5, 5, 4, 3.
Welcome, everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It is Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight is episode 158, entitled Appreciation. Appreciation seems like a simple emotional need, but it can really cause problems in a relationship when one needs it and the other does not. Where is it needed? How is it met? What happens when it's not met? We'll take a look at all things appreciation at the table this evening. Pull up a chair at the table and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or listen directly on lunchtimeinrome.com. While there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media, and it would be great if you give us a 5-star review. Jay, what's this podcast about?
Being alone is the worst. Good times aren't as good, and bad times are worse when you're all alone. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. That is how you keep people from being alone, and what this podcast is all about. We demonstrate that in the first 15 minutes of the podcast. We talk about it for the rest. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is. Lunchtime in Rome.
Yeah.
The boys are back in town.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like a lot of the good that we're going to be talking about is our disc golf trip that we were just on.
Right.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, I didn't have that down.
But I think, so we were off last week, which was before the disc golf trip. So I'll talk about, Amy and I had a weekend away celebrating our 15-year wedding anniversary. Deep Creek, Maryland. We just didn't really plan much. We just kind of drove through and stopped at things that we wanted to stop at, and
I thought you were going to say,
great.
We just drove through.
Yeah, I just drove through, came back up.
Including a little tiny church.
Yeah,
that church was really small.
The tiniest church in 48 states, which there's got to be something else in the other two, I guess.
I wonder which 48.
Right? Could be. It doesn't mean it's the mainland. But it was a great trip. We had so much fun and slept in. It was great.
Did you wake up at all and just be like, oh, yeah?
Yeah, maybe once or twice, but I was pretty tired.
Spoken like a parent of a toddler, though. Like that's your highlight. Slept in.
Oh, slept.
So great.
Yeah, not having to be on a schedule was just great. Ate great food, and yeah, just a good time. So that was nice.
It's so great that it was what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, it was. Then the place we stayed at this little Airbnb loft. Great little place. Had a great bed, king size bed with a really nice mattress. And we were looking for a new mattress. We were looking to upgrade to a king size mattress, and we were wondering like what this mattress was. And we looked at it. I looked it up. Yeah, it's no wonder it's great. It's $3,500 mattress.
Wow. They pour some money into these Airbnbs.
They do, and like
must be profitable.
The rug was like Chip and Joanna Gaines. It was like a $1,500 rug, because like
you're just walking around with your phone, checking everything out in the place.
Oh yeah, because it was Amy's style. So like she was just looking and checking things out. Well, but Amy's really good at finding things that look like that. But when yeah, right. When you stepped on the rug, you were like, oh, this is an expensive rug. It was so soft, but like. Not like a shag carpet. It was, just a soft, really, really nice carpet. But yeah, it was great. And then, dude, so coming out of disc golf weekend, man, even though I had a great time, and I'm sure you guys will talk more about it, I'll let you guys talk about that. But my arm, man, holy cow. Some of the worst pain I think I've ever had in my life. And I went to the doctor today, and it's some sort of, I have other theories. They're saying it's tennis elbow. So the first, with x-rays and whatnot, nothing's broken or anything like that.
You did get x-rayed.
I did get x-rayed.
MRI?
Not yet. So they did the cortisone shot. If this doesn't work, then it'll be time to get an MRI, take a look at ligaments and whatnot, or maybe there's some arthritis in there or whatever. I feel like there's something on top of it. And then I also said, I was like, by the way, my hand gets numb. And like he like paused. And I was like, well, that doesn't sound like it's related to the tennis elbow. That like it sounds like So I think I have some. I could just tell on his face. He was like, that's something different.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it's probably carpal tunnel. I know that story. Like my mom had carpal tunnel and she had the surgery to get that all fixed and stuff. So I'm kind of familiar with that situation. And dude, like this day and age, I've grown up playing video games all my life. I've typed on a keyboard all my life. I've used a smartphone for the second half of my life. I'm bound to get carpal tunnel, right? I think everybody is pretty much at this point. So, I have to go.
Speak for yourself. I got other diseases lined up. All right.
No offense. I know you're the techie guy, but
true.
So I'm gonna have to go get. I think he said it was a EMG to see what is like causing that blockage of blood flow and making my arm. Because when I drum, a lot of times, if you notice, like at church, you'll notice like in between sets, like I'm like shaking my arm out because it's numb. I'm trying to get blood back to my hand. Because it's weird playing drums like I don't have any control over this really right now. It's weird.
As the doctor in the house, I will say that's definitely more than just tennis elbow.
Yeah, it's got to be right. So and that's why you ordered the other test. So I'm gonna go get that checked out and see. So but I think it's all just this arm's a mess, dude. I might as well just go left-handed.
I told you. I already told you.
Just gonna learn.
If he has to shut down his right arm, I'm gonna play with him, and I also will play left-handed.
And beat me.
You could become like the Def Leppard drummer.
Yeah. I could.
He plays disc golf.
Yeah.
Zing.
Right-handed.
He's great. He drinks the whole time.
So that's it.
For me, I'm gonna double down on the Airbnb thing. I'll use that as my good from the disc golf trip. Although there was plenty of good.
Wendy,
the painted lady.
That was the name of our house. The painted lady. Beautiful.
Got my book, by the way.
What's that?
Got my book.
Oh, good. She sent it.
She did.
That's nice. She took care of us. A lot of care. No, this woman was passionate about her house, her Airbnb. And staying
lovely
in it,
home.
right?
Lovely
just
home.
this beautiful Victorian
really
house
was. It was cool.
Some of the best mothballs I've ever smelled.
See, I didn't smell them at all.
Because I opened the windows before you got there.
But it was one of those houses where it was so cool to walk into every room and just be like, look at this room.
Yeah.
This is really, just.
And they just kept going.
Yes, it was. Yes,
rambling farmhouse.
right.
Jebediah Slippery Rock lived there once.
Yeah, we're not. I always wondered if that was who founded the.
It is.
Yeah. So that was good. My other quick good is today, this very day, last day with students at school.
Oh,
nice.
Congratulations.
So thank you.
How many in service?
2 tomorrow and Friday.
Big for music teachers.
Finish up. Yeah. Shh. Yeah. So no, tomorrow there's a couple things planned, but mostly it's like cleaning up your room, finishing up whatever little bits of meeting things we have to do, and turning your keys in and peeling out in the parking lot. And
throwing all the papers up.
That's right. You've seen it in the movies.
School's out for summer, Alice Cooper.
That's right. I'm gonna go Pink
It's
Floyd.
just like that. But no, so that's exciting. It's just an exciting time of year. The weather's been really good. Like it just feels like summer, and I'm just loving that.
Mm-hmm.
My bad. Oh my gosh, I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm going back to the disc golf trip.
Oh.
Well, this one, Jay, is about the disc golf trip. I'm disappointed for other reasons. We got to our final course of the weekend, North Boundary.
Big course.
Bro.
Big. It's like a course on a mountain.
70 floors of elevation change.
I
9,000 feet.
Got a serious case of the grumpies and just could not handle it. I could not handle it. For me?
Yeah, because there was a couple holes there where it just nothing was connecting.
Well, that's true, but also I'm not even sure that's what it was.
Gas.
It was the walking. Yes,
Yeah,
it was the lack of oxygen to my brain. That's what sent me over the edge. That I was just like done. I think it was like hole 11. I said to Eric, like, "Hey, whenever you want to be done, I'm done."
It was hole
I was
11.
just done.
And I paused and then I said, I kind of want to play the whole thing. So that I can say I played the whole thing,
Yeah.
and I never have to put back here again. And it's a great course.
It is a wonderful course, but it's so hard to walk.
I can't wait
I
can't wait to see the pros play it because
Yeah, me too.
knowing where we shot from,
Which
and
is
how
the
we
easiest
shot,
tees.
yeah, and how we shot to watch them play that course with
That
all that
one-
walk because they're gonna have to walk it too.
That
And
one gold tee where like I feel
Right.
like the whole
6
like wraps all the way around.
You-
Like I
you
feel like you're
could've-
gonna see the gold tee
it's
again
like a
that wraps
circle,
so
yeah.
hard.
You could have
It's
put
crazy.
a basket between the gold tee and the other tees.
Absolutely.
And I love
Absolutely.
that the commentators are they're gonna be playing too. At least at some of them will be. So they will have some like on the course experience to talk about as far as.
And they'll be 12 under.
Oh, well,
I
right.
know,
Right.
I know, dude.
But don't you think they'll have to talk like, oh man, we were sucking for air. We were like struggling. We were
know.
like, this is the
they
hilliest course
play hilly
we've ever
courses,
been
though.
on. Anything like this, I want to know. I want to know where it ranks.
Mm.
This
Well,
is
we'll find out. Now, it's a silver series, so it won't be on Jomez. It'll be probably the Disc Golf Network. I think will probably cover it.
Mm.
But
Party at Jay's house.
that's fine. So for me, I'm just going to give you like a shotgun of just things that have been going on. Like number one, my herb garden's coming in. Parsley's
Nice.
huge.
Mm.
The dill, or not the dill, but the chives, they're hanging in there, but they're just kind of hanging out. They're not really grown, but they're not dying. And I've made my annual sacrifice to the dill gods, planted it, died, moving on, ripping it out, probably put in more chives
That's a yearly thing.
every year. And I asked the guy one time, I said, is it hard to grow dill? And the guy went, it's called dill weed.
Meaning it should be growing pretty easily.
Can't stop it.
Huh. Well, apparently
Put
you
it in my
can.
herb garden. That'll kill it.
That's great. That's great.
I had a few minutes before my super unbelievably exhausting
Is that Henkel's? Is that
Hankles. It might have
the
been.
Dill weed comment?
It might have been
Okay.
Hankles.
That's great.
Look at me like I had two heads. Look at me like I was short. Stopped at Ollie's and bought 2 more of my towels that I bought for myself recently at $3.99 a piece. And anybody in their right mind would hate them. They are the scratchiest, driest towels in the world. And I love them.
bath towels.
Bath towels.
Okay.
I kind of like a towel like that.
Oh, I like it to exfoliate as I dry.
Yeah.
And now I've got 3
Soaks
of
up
them.
the water.
And I wrote, like, Rachel bought me I asked for Christmas, I think, or maybe my birthday, for scratchy towels. And she
Yeah.
bought me like a Chip and Joanna Gaines
That's
towel
hilarious.
that was just kind of plain. And I'm like, I mean, it's not scratchy.
I
It's
will-
still soft.
I will
don't like
join
soft.
you in like, I don't know about scratchy, but microfiber towels.
No.
Oh,
Forget
yeah,
about
well,
it.
It's never
You're
working.
just wiping
It's
the
like-
water around.
Yes, you're just there's still a layer of water.
No, it's got to be a little red when I'm done.
I exfoliate in the shower.
But I'm excited. I've been doing a whole bunch of my outlines lately. Obviously, worked on this one last night. Did one for John Grissom, our new Young Life guy, and it was the people and the players of Penn Hills.
Ah, I still got to message him.
And so I broke it down by, the administration, the superintendent, the school board members, the teachers, the parents, the kids, anybody, and obviously the entire committee. And just information for him as he's moving here in July and he's got to get up to speed. It was 5.5 pages long. And it didn't include anything from Woodland Hills. I sent that off to somebody else. And I thought, I might be getting a little outline heavy at this point. And I sent it to him and he was like, hey, really, thanks. And I'm like, it might have been too much or too obscure.
Wait, that was just the outline?
Oh, yeah, the outline's 5.5
Like no
pages.
details about anybody, just like who they are.
Well, no, I mean, I would list like with each committee member, I'd say there's sub number, the A.
But
Bill
not like a
Smith.
paragraph.
No, it'd be A,
Right.
Bill Smith, and then 1 would be how long they've been involved with, what's their Young Life experience, and then 2, what are their characteristics that he can know and get to
I
understand.
love Bill Smith.
I was at Get Go getting water after my exhausting round of disc golf, and a lady in front of me bought a Mega Millions ticket, and I thought maybe today's the day. So this might be the last one. I might be a
You bought one.
millionaire. I bought one, baby.
Wow.
And lastly, in 2 weeks from right now, I won't be here for the podcast. Do we not have a podcast, or do you guys do it without me for the first time ever? You could do
It's
a
impossible.
guest. You could do a guest. Rachel and I are going away to Lisbon, Ohio. Well, you guys are going away with your wives, so I'm like, all right, we're doing one of those.
What's in Lisbon, Ohio?
A getaway cabin.
Nice.
It's 20 cabins, but it's basically a mini cabin. So you have your bed is right up against one wall that they have converted into a window. So you just have a view of the woods. They're always advertised on social
Yes, I've
media.
seen that.
I think I have a friend at work that might have gone to that exact same place.
Right.
It looks really
It's
cool.
a tiny cabin.
Yeah, but it's like really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in theory.
You don't want to wake up
It's
with
bougie.
somebody like this up against
If
the
it's
window.
a bear, that'd be kind of cool.
Okay, but
If it's a bare naked other camper, then, well, it depends on what they look like. Still no. So that's where we are.
So this cabin, because I know Rachel loves camping, like roughing it and tent
This
camping
is
and stuff.
glamping.
Well, in the cabin, yeah, it's glamping.
right.
So there'll be like amenities and electricity. Okay.
Running shower, air
Gotcha.
conditioning,
Gotcha.
everything
Own
else.
bathroom.
Me.
Yeah, I mean, what
But
more does she need?
trees and wonderful smells.
Yeah,
and
they have like a 1 mile walking path. There
Nice.
may or may not be 3 different disc
I'm a
golf
fan of
courses.
I was going to say,
around
how
there.
many disc golf courses are on there? What are the ratings?
All within 18 minutes. 3.7 to 4.0.
Okay, you're in good shape.
J. Gary Dropco designed Scenic Vista, which is only 19 minutes away.
Wow.
Although on
Never
all
heard
their
of it.
pictures of the course, not one of a Vista
Poor Jerry.
or J. Gary.
Gary.
I will say I got a sous vide.
Yeah, you
And
did.
from-
You did.
Yeah, for my birthday, I got a sous vide
And a vacuum sealer.
and a vacuum sealer. Was that from you?
Might have been.
So I'm gonna.
Yeah, thanks by
The-
the way for letting me get in on that with you.
Well, I thought maybe. Here's what I really thought you would have done. Like maybe get some extra bags and then maybe some good meat.
No.
I don't know.
Not doing that.
So I got the sous vide. Can't wait to use it. I'm sure.
You haven't
we'll
used
be-
it yet?
Haven't used it yet.
You've had it for like 2 weeks.
Well, he just got the bags Tuesday.
Yeah, I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, I got him or the vacuum sealer Tuesday. So
So I got the
That was
sous vide.
yesterday. Oh, sorry.
I'm getting a car delivered to me on
Yeah.
Friday. I went through Carvana. Yeah, it got delayed. It moved back to Friday. But yeah, so I went through Carvana to find a car because I really wanted a stick shift. And I knew that if I went through a dealer, I'm buying a new car and I have to probably, custom get it. So went through Carvana. I've got a 2021 Kia with 5,000 miles. Really good price. Getting it delivered to me. The
Yeah,
process has
Did you
been
say 5,000?
5,000 miles.
Why'd they get rid of it?
it's a COVID car, probably a lease.
Well, it's a stick. They don't
Honestly.
really lease sticks. Oh, maybe they do lease sticks. They don't like they're. It wouldn't be a rental car.
Right.
I don't care. I'm gonna get it. I
Yeah, I'm saying somebody got in COVID, leased it, didn't really go anywhere. It's in perfect shape.
There's a couple dings on it. So, but I'm kind of like excited about that because it's like I don't have to put the first ding in the car.
Yeah,
It's
it's
already
already
there.
Pre-dinged.
Yeah, pre-ding. So that's the process has been really smooth so far. So I'm excited. It's going to be delivered Friday, and we'll see how that goes. I have 7 days to return it if I don't like it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then I am going to see my favorite band, Goose, 2 weekends from now with Lex. We're going to go camping for 2 nights, right at the venue there, and looking forward to that.
Where's that at?
Thornville, Ohio. So it's about
Heard of it?
It's about 3 hours away.
All right.
Yeah,
And
So-
where's the concert?
it's right there. Like the camping and the concert are right. Like
So it's an outdoor venue kind of a
yes.
thing?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Man, that's exciting.
And if it rains too much, we'll sleep in the Kia.
Sure.
Not the new one. The Kia
Right.
Sportage.
Put the seats down. Yeah.
Right.
Well, we have been going over a series of the top 10 emotional needs and really taking a deep dive into them. And we're breaking them down each time. And not with each one, there's only the third one we've done. So far, we've done affection and acceptance. At least with 2 of them, several of us have walked in like, yeah, I don't know how we're going to.
We were just saying that before the pod started. It's like every one of these that we've done so far, for me, it's been like, yeah, I don't think about it. And then I'm walking out like, I can't believe how much this impacted me.
Yeah.
And so that's, I sat down last night to work on the outline, and it was it's so hilarious to me because I'm just like, I don't know how to stretch this out. It's not that deep. It's not that whatever, but it's in there.
Mhm.
And so this one goes out to all those folks who do have a high need for appreciation, but it also goes out to those who have somebody in their life who has a high need for appreciation, and you don't. And so it's good when you see one of these to learn it, to know it, to understand it. Even if, if you're right in the middle, if you take the relational needs questionnaire and you and your spouse both score 0, which isn't high, which isn't low, if it's right in the middle for you, well, you've got a coworker, you've got a boss, you've got a neighbor, you got somebody that has a high need for appreciation. And let me tell you, as much as any other, when you hit on it, the person realizes it.
Mhm.
Anytime you have a high need, if somebody meets that need, boy, it feels really good. Before we get too far into it, I did want to point out that Amy Raymond, who was with us 2 weeks ago, and I thought it was an absolutely outstanding episode. She brought gifts, which is always great.
Oh, the
The
Chex
Chex
Mix
Mix
is
is so
amazing.
good.
See that? When you sit at the table with us, when I shared the preview, do you have a high need, whatever? And she just sent a huge thing that said, me, 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 me. And then Lydia. Ever heard of her? Duke and Lydia, episode blah, 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 blah. It was a great couples episode. I don't know the number. She said, Duke appreciates me the most. He'll tell me what he appreciates, mostly something I do. Not sure if this counts as appreciation, but I feel appreciated when he takes over a job that I normally do. Cleaned the kitchen earlier. Now I'll take a turn while you relax. Mm-hmm. In fact, that is not appreciation.
That is not.
But maybe she appreciates
that.
That would be support.
It would be support.
Yeah.
It would be support. It could also be belonging, to a degree it's an appreciation because he's doing it because she's done it. So
right.
A lot of these blend into each other. But let's begin with what is in fact appreciation.
Well, Jay, appreciation is expressing thanks, praise, or commendation, recognizing accomplishment or effort, particularly for what someone does. So there you go. That does tie in with what Lydia said.
Sure. I don't know if I do enough commendation.
Right.
I'm sure I would define commendation.
Not to be confused with condemnation.
Or accommodation.
I tried using that word with my wife the other day. She did not appreciate it.
Condemnation?
No, commendation. Yeah.
Accommodation.
What does
Yeah,
it feel
what does
like
it
you
mean?
need a lot of condemnation?
I don't even know what it means.
Well, like to commend someone means to tell them like how
well done,
good
sir.
job. Yeah.
I recognize you in a positive light.
Yes.
And she
I don't
said,
know.
"Don't you dare do that."
I think she thought I was being sarcastic or something.
Or
She's like, that's too...
or condescending.
Right, maybe that was
You
it.
said, "Look at you. You did a good job today, sweetie."
I don't think I didn't say it that badly.
Look at you.
Look at you in your little
Such a
outfits.
big girl. You almost cleaned the house today.
You deserve a commendation. I meant it very positively.
And quite simply, like with every emotional need, if you had it growing up, you probably, you need it now. Conversely, if you didn't have it growing up, maybe you need it now. I don't see it a lot with people who had it growing up that don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, if you were raised by a smothering mother who hugged you and gave you all the affection you could ever want and more, very often you don't have a need for affection. But appreciation, I don't ever see like, oh, stop thanking me. I was thanked my whole life. Like, I don't.
So let me ask this: how have you seen people that have not had it as kids? How does it manifest as adults?
It's 50-50 to me. The people that I've worked with, half of them have a high need for appreciation. Half, like Rachel, I could thank her for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It would never matter. I could never thank her
again. And she did
again.
not get appreciation as a child.
Gosh, no.
She didn't get much as a child.
She got a lot of neglect.
Yeah.
But
so the way that it manifests for her, like as an example, what you're saying is you could tell her you appreciate her all day, and she's like, whatever.
Wouldn't move the needle. It eventually would bother her.
I think the word appreciation too is so widely used. Like I don't think there's anybody listening or sitting here, that is thinking like, oh, appreciation, that's such a rare thing that people would desire or need. But I also think that like we probably use it too generally. And like maybe that's part of what we can do tonight is sort of dissect it a little and say, well, like we started to do, like, oh, well, Lydia was talking maybe more about support. And, appreciation is, at least in this context, it's going to be a little narrower than maybe the general term that we use in our lives. Like, because we appreciate a lot of things, but does that mean we're actually
it's different
actively...
than you're saying when we use it in wrong context, or like when we use it, an example would be when we use it as value.
Yeah, I feel like it's a catch-all term.
That's fair. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one of the things that right before we started, and I was saying I can't believe how much these, like I walk in here and I'm like, I don't really.
Right. There's nothing to it.
But
and doesn't move your needle.
Eric brought up a good point where I believe that I am higher on appreciation than some of the other things. I certainly don't think it's my highest, but I also don't think I need it across the board. But there are certain things that when I get appreciation for that thing, and I don't know offhand what that is.
I get that.
I really feel that. So it's an interesting one to me because
highly specific in your case.
Yeah, right.
Me too.
Right.
Which
It's
is
more
why maybe
work
your
related
score
for
isn't
me.
so high.
Yeah.
Because it's only, you figure the question's only 5 long.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them you could be like, I don't care at all. another one maybe, and then like one of those. Oh, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to go back to your point, Chris, as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think very often people will use like, I appreciate a good meal,
Yeah, there you go.
as a description of how much they either value it, when the reality is you might get that good meal and not appreciate the person that provided it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the act of appreciation, not the, I don't want to say concept, but it's the verb, not the value.
We use it as like enjoyment or anything.
Well,
you know.
I keep using the word value. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I appreciate a good cigar.
Yeah.
Right. So I appreciate that meal, not I appreciate that you made me this amazing meal. Like those are two different
Right. In
things.
general, I appreciate a good meal.
Mhm.
But when you got that meal, did you say thank you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say, wow, this is really good. Thank you.
Right.
Because that's appreciating the meal.
Right.
So that's a little wrinkle in there. Where does appreciation, in our definition, it says particularly for what someone does, but I think it's a whole lot more than that. Okay, that's particularly, but it's not limited to that. If you think about when somebody does you a favor, somebody gives you a gift, boy, that's the beginning of it. That's, can you imagine somebody gives you a gift and you go, all right.
Right. Isn't that one of the most basic things we are taught as a child is say thank you,
Hammered
Yeah.
home in my life.
Right.
I would get a gift and I would say, oh, like from my grandfather on my mom's side. Oh, Pop, that is the greatest. I love it. I was asking for this for years. I can't wait to go play with it. You're the best. My mother would be like, did you say thank you? I was like, I don't know. I guess not. But you can't do that. You can't give that.
I was going to say, I feel like appreciation and respect can be closely tied. Because there's a lot of things that I'm hearing that I'm like, I don't know. I maybe it's just because I'm high on respect. I don't know.
You bring up any emotional need. It's kind of like respect, right?
Sometimes I feel like I do that. Anyways.
Well, you don't respect the time that I put into giving you this. Or, the second half of that was gifts and favors.
Mm-hmm.
If I do something for you and you don't thank me, well, you didn't respect the time
Right. So
that I put into that.
Not only are you not being appreciated, you're not being respected.
Sure.
So I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. And then maybe if, let's say you don't have a high need for appreciation, you don't care they didn't say thank you. You care that they didn't acknowledge what your sacrifice was.
I think that's exactly what I feel.
There it is.
Yeah.
Number 2, for meaningful conversations or relational interactions. So, you're coming alongside somebody, you're being there for them, everything else, and it doesn't come back.
Mm-hmm.
They don't acknowledge that you did that. They don't appreciate that. I think if somebody's always giving that
Yeah.
and not getting that back, if you have a need for appreciation, man, you're gonna be like, why am I even bothering?
Right.
Now the opposite. I guess I'm going a little bit backwards, but back to like the gifts and favors. Those would the giving of those in return for something also be an act of appreciation?
What?
So, I think what we talked about. Okay, someone gives you a gift or does a favor for you. You express appreciation by saying thank you. What about your thank you being an act of giving a gift or favor back to some? You know what I'm saying? Like, does appreciation need to be so verbal, or can it also be like
the receiving of a gift?
Like the giving is the appreciation. Like, oh, thank you so much.
If you look at Roman numeral 4 on our outline this evening,
I don't read ahead.
We will be going over the ways that it is met. I think sure, that's a way to do that as well. It depends on what you're giving back. But I think it's funny if you hand me something and I go
silence.
But in a week you're gonna get something back. So yeah, I think the spirit of it certainly that is a way that it is met. But I also think it's important that we get appreciated for who we are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I think people who have a high need for appreciation, if people don't acknowledge who they are, what they offer to a relationship in general, so whereas number 2 or B was for meaningful conversations, relational interactions, that's for what I've done for you. But number 3 is more who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that ties in. I'm trying to go through the emotional needs in my head, but And I know you mentioned here that can tie into belonging. There's another one though. What's the one that where you are? Oh, acceptance. It's the one we just
Acceptance is being loved even though you've made a mistake.
Right. Well, okay. Well, here's where my brain goes. That even though you've made a mistake, like for me, that ties very much into who I am. I know that's probably very twisted or whatever, but I feel like a lot of times I am a conglomeration of my actions / mistakes.
We all are.
And so being appreciated for who I am, I'm just saying it reminds me a lot of being accepted in that realm.
And where does appreciation fit into that? They don't appreciate who you are despite your flaws? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that they sound related to me when you say okay, you're appreciated for who you are. I feel like that tie. I don't know. I'm trying to make a connection.
No, I'm not making fun of you. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not saying it is appreciation. I guess I'm just saying that's another, like that sentence that you are
who you are as a person.
Who you are as a person.
Does somebody appreciate you, and does that matter to you? If you have a high need for appreciation, you want to be known that, you know what, you're a great dad. And Dad, thanks for being such a great dad.
You know what I think I have a higher need for? Acceptance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I guess, maybe what Brian was saying about respect. Like, that's just where my
You're
brain
to force acceptance
goes.
into appreciation.
Yeah. That's where my brain goes when I see some of these.
But you can apply it because, like I said a sentence or two ago, you know, you end up doing something wrong and you make Ben have to drive to Monroeville for something and whatever else. And then that night he goes, you know what, Dad? I want you to know you're a great dad. Well, you had just screwed up that evening.
Right.
But yet he still sees you as being a great dad. So that's acceptance. Hey, I love you no matter what. But he's appreciating what you are despite. So whereas sometimes we want to be appreciated for what we do, you're almost saying, I want to be appreciated in spite of the things I screw up.
Can't everybody just appreciate me for it? Yeah, no, right.
But hold on, finish that sentence because that's exactly how you feel.
Right, it is. Can't everybody appreciate me despite the fact that I
am flawed?
Yeah, right.
Which is through acceptance.
Right.
Like, because if it's just acceptance, it's just, can't you just love me despite what I've done? But can you see the good parts of me?
Yeah.
Despite what I've done is the appreciation. Can you appreciate my good things in light of my bad things?
Yes.
Now that makes sense.
See, we find it.
Yep.
You got an emotional shovel, but we find it.
Love it.
But that also includes just your general characteristics, like not just your relationship with somebody, but, you know, with somebody who is, I like to think I'm somewhat witty and funny. I love when Brian says to me, the way your brain works. Like I feel
that's appreciation too?
Oh gosh, because you're appreciating the way my thought process. Sometimes you're horrified, but even at that, I appreciate it. Well, sure, if it's, you know, you're such a hard worker. Okay, you are appreciating, once again, valuing, but also communicating to me, hey, that's good. You have worth, and I can see that in you.
You're dumb for going down to the disc golf course by yourself and cutting down trees, but I appreciate you doing that. That's probably not.
Wow.
You make me nervous.
Well, that's
probably
more security. That's your security. No, that's valuing me, belonging. That's more belonging because you're caring for my well-being. And yeah,
you're welcome.
Now, if you said, boy, I tell you what, you know, you're down there nearly killing yourself, and at any point in time, a tree's going to fall and kill you. But boy, the course looks pretty good. Well, then you'd be appreciating the work that I've done. And lastly, your talents, hobbies, abilities. If you have a high need for appreciation, you want to be told that you are, you know, that you're appreciated for those abilities.
It's funny because I think as a musician, I get like at church, like I get a lot of, you know, I won't put words in anybody's mouth, but like just appreciation over, what we put into worship or the time we put into the music and things like that. And that's all very kind, but for me, like who I really don't feel like I need a lot of appreciation. that's always too like I just have to like sort of like grin and bear it in
Right,
a way
because you
know?
don't have a high need for
So
appreciation.
when I tell you how much I appreciate all that you do in
No, that
the administration side of things,
it's different from you.
Really?
That's different.
Why?
Well, because you're like my partner. Like that's I don't know, and that's different. And you're one of my best friends, so that's
I'm with Chris. Like if I get like a random person, no. If I get a random person from the congregation come up after worship and was like, "Wow, that was really great today," like your drumming, just that is like, I don't know, it's just more meaningful because it's random and it's not.
oh, interesting. I was going,
but
so you're the
he was the
opposite of
opposite.
me.
He was saying he appreciates when I,
Yes.
and this isn't people in church can still come up to Chris and
Yes, I'm not. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I just find like I'm a person who doesn't necessarily like extra attention. So I feel like I'm always like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, and I also of course go to self-condemnation at times as well. So somebody says, "Oh, good job." Where does my brain go? Yeah, but you didn't notice all these wrong notes, or you didn't,
Because what I would say in this case is it's meeting a different need. When Brian comes up to you and says, "Hey, I appreciate all the work you did this week and every week and all the administrative stuff that not only do I not want to do, let's be clear, I won't do." You get a huge bump in respect.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
It's not that he's thanking you.
Right.
Because in essence, you're not doing it for him.
Right. No,
You
hit.
receive it that way because if he didn't have to do it, it would fall to you to some degree. So you're appreciating that you don't have to do it, but you're receiving it
as respect.
as a
You
sign of
hit the
respect.
nail on the head.
Whereas
interesting.
somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, that worship was great." You're like, "Yeah, I don't really respect you."
No.
Because no, listen to me. I'm being sarcastic, but because you're going, you don't really know how bad it was.
Right. Well, it is. It
Which
is
also
different.
shows your limit because they're still saying the Holy Spirit moved, and I felt led into a different place of worship, and you're like, nah. You're way off. You shouldn't have been moved. The Holy Spirit was moving, but it wasn't me.
Well, honestly, that's part of it too. When someone says you did a good job today, like it's not about me, so I feel like a little awkward in that at times as well. There's a little, But yeah, absolutely.
For everyday chores and responsibilities, I cut the grass. Rachel knows now after 22 years, and she couldn't care less if I cut the grass. Doesn't do a thing for her. She walks in, grass looks good. I go, thanks. That's it. That's all I want. That's all I need. It's fine. If I said to her, Rachel, I'll tell you what, man, once again, you just did all the laundry. You banged that out. You folded it up. You put it away. She's like, yeah, that's what I do. So, how do we meet the need for appreciation? Certainly verbal expressions. Secondly, written expressions, which, go, Brian, go.
Eating all of your ranch dip.
Though that would go under, I guess, actions or whatever, which isn't on our list.
All of the ranch dip.
And there's a lot of ways.
You got a bunch.
So I have verbal, written, and then public expressions. I think that's the sneaky one.
Ooh, interesting.
And that is when you're around somebody, my wife is the best cook in the world, or Chris is the best worship leader that blah, blah, blah. When you're saying it in front of other people, if somebody has a need for, now, once again, if they have a very low need for attention, well, that's not going to work.
Right.
But I think for somebody who has a need for appreciation, it's great when you hear somebody else giving praise about you, your talents, your whatever you've done for somebody. It means a lot to them as well.
That's like a whole nother level. Like it's not to you, it's
right
in
which still you're receiving appreciation.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a whole nother level. It's just a different avenue of it. But Brian, you bring up a good point. So if I make you food and I know that you ate all of it, I feel that you appreciated it. Whereas if I gave you food and you go, I never really, it kind of spoiled after a while, I threw it away, I certainly would not feel appreciated. So we could even add to the list.
Actions.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's why we do this podcast. Ever evolving. How is it not met? This isn't real deep. Or how are we hurt? by not receiving it. One is simply
Not giving it.
not giving it.
Groundbreaking.
I mean, that's crazy. The need is not met when it is not given. But the other is
you put your ranch dip out, and you know that I like it, and I walk in and go, that's not giving it.
Right.
Because I know that you value it.
right. I don't know if I would notice that, but certain things, if you give a gift, like we talked about earlier, you give a gift and somebody just goes,
Yeah.
you give somebody a gift. Yeah.
Yeah. We're done here.
Or, but also is like, you shouldn't have. But I did.
Transaction over.
But you really shouldn't have.
Right. And you're like, all right, so not only am I not getting thanked, you're saying I shouldn't even have done this. And so imagine you're giving a gift and have a high need of appreciation.
That's sneaky.
Right.
That one right there. Like that specific example.
Well,
Oh,
you
you
shouldn't
shouldn't
have.
have. Because you think you're being
Kind.
yeah. But it's really like. Because even though I feel like people are saying it meaning like.
I'm not worthy.
Oh,
You shouldn't have gone to this trouble.
Right. Yeah. Well, like, yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Let me ask you this. One of the things that I learned early on is when somebody wants to give you something, most of the times that's them looking to bless you. And you would be kind of robbing them of that blessing. And so there's, because there are people that be like, no, I can't, no. And like you go back, I can't take your money. I can't take this. I can't take this. Is that what we're talking about here? About you're trying to refuse?
Yeah, that could be. If somebody, it's
Because we all know people like that you may
can't
try,
do anything for.
Right. You may try to give them something. And just like, no, I can't do that. And it's almost a fight. Like, no, I
Right,
want
because-
to bless you with this
Right.
because I appreciate what you've done.
They have
Or who you
they
are.
may have a high need for respect,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want for you to help them in any way,
Man.
shape, or form. They could have a high need for a very low need for support,
Mm-hmm.
and so by you blessing them and wanting to help them, they're like, no, I can do this on my own.
That's interesting.
Now you combine that with a high need for appreciation. Now you got a problem. They're like,
Yeah.
screw
Right.
that guy.
Right.
All I try to do is do something nice for you,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, I didn't want you to do something nice for me.
Right.
And so we get into that.
Yeah, and I think like just as a society, we've been so conditioned to, because like, what if like somebody blesses you with like $10,000, substantial amount of money.
We're open to that.
Yeah, I'm down.
Podcast could use it.
Anybody who ever wants to do that, donate to the show. It's great. Contact Brian. But like,
Chris.
Project manager.
with if someone offers you that, and you say, "Oh, thanks," like I feel like there's a knee-jerk reaction in me that would have to say like, I can't accept that. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, no, I can't accept that. And then like that reaffirm of like, yes, it's okay. This is a gift. I want to bless you. Like, there has to be that, because I feel like on the other end of that, I would like, if I would say like immediately like that's okay, like the other person is thinking, well, do they really appreciate it? Because they, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird.
Yeah, that got confusing at the end.
But there is sort of
You're
like
saying-
a cultural give and take at
Yes,
times where
right.
it's like, oh, the polite thing to do. Somebody likes something. This reminds me of some Seinfeld episode.
The
I
pen.
think the pen.
Take
yes,
the pen.
Take
Yes.
the
Yeah.
NASA
space pen.
The Ast-
Got
yes.
one. Right over
Yeah.
Can't believe
Yeah.
he took
But yeah, he admires the pen, so the guy's like,
Exactly.
take it.
Yeah.
And then you got to say, well, no, this is your favorite pen. No, I
No,
insist.
I
I want you
insist.
to have it. But then there's always that resentment.
What was his name? It's the friend. I was
yeah.
going to say
It is the
Morty, but it's
friend.
not Morty.
It's
That's
not
his
Morty.
dad.
Morty's friend, yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
down at Del Boca Vista.
Yeah, but it's
I can't
that
believe he took
if
the
someone
pen.
were to offer if someone were to offer me like $10,000, I couldn't just take it, because I feel like if I just
Right, but
take it,
I take this with the intent I'm saying it.
yeah.
What's your point?
My point is, because I feel, and maybe it's something like,
It's not that you wouldn't appreciate it.
it's not that I would very much appreciate it, but if I answer immediately, or if I just say thank you so much, like that doesn't feel like enough to me. There wasn't enough like back and
Transaction.
forth.
You want
yeah,
them to
yeah.
make you take the money.
I know it sounds weird.
I
but
literally
like,
want them to shove it down my throat.
I know it sounds weird.
I
but,
feel
like,
it, or I
Okay,
do.
yeah, I know I'm
Yeah.
not crazy. Like
Like,
I know how I feel.
Outside of the realm of appreciate, you have to like verify, which can I don't know, in some circumstances could maybe come off as, oh, he's not appreciative. But there has to be some sort of like why is this happening? This is
like
a huge
it's
thing.
almost like I'm just so like I'm not thankful enough that I'm doing something that would cross over into acceptance, where like I feel like I'm doing something wrong by not like
telling them no.
Right.
I think it comes to a need in your specific example. It would be a need almost for security, in that I don't want you to be mad at me for taking this.
Right. Yeah.
And I want to make sure that you really want to give this to me.
Well, on acceptance, like I don't want to do anything wrong here. I don't want to be like overly accepting of your gift.
Right.
Because I really do appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Right. So in essence, we've come to the conclusion that it has nothing to do with appreciation. It's the other emotional needs that are trumping any thoughts of appreciation.
Right.
Because, boy, you would certainly appreciate it.
I absolutely
But
would.
you can't get to it.
Right.
Because you're too clouded by acceptance and security.
Or I feel like I'm not deserving enough.
Right.
Which
Which is why, therefore, you don't.
And then guilt taking it.
And just for the record, Brian has done a great job of not chiming in this whole time, because he would take that money at the jump. He would have already
Here's
put it in the bank.
Okay.
And thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah. New pool filter.
Well, let me say this. I cut my neighbor's grass. They just moved in. They're an elderly couple. They can't really, they're having trouble walking. And the grass got long. I cut the grass. It was I just did it and didn't tell them. So they came over and they're like, "Did you cut our grass?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "We want to give you money." I was like, "No, this is on me. This is a housewarming present." They come into my driveway and he pulls out an envelope, and like a couple days later pulls out an envelope with $40 in it. And I was like, "No, that was a gift." And he just gives me this look, and I was like, "Okay, sir. Yes, sir. I'll take your money."
That's great.
That was a transaction. So
you got to send them $40 worth of flowers.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
With a big welcome. Welcome to the neighborhood. Like, just keep going at them.
or have Ethan cut it next time and give him $40 and be like, "I already paid him." You know what I mean? Like, pass it along.
I use it on the disc golf trip.
But I mean,
It's going.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was my story.
It's a good story.
But you had you had a reaction though. Like,
yeah,
you had to say like, no.
Initially, it was like, no, because my intention was, no, this is on me.
Right.
Well, they didn't. They appreciated it, but you wanted it to be like a complete gift.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they're like, yeah, we appreciate it,
$40
but we want to
worth.
compensate you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With a thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, that was very nice, but we're paying you.
Yeah.
And you're like, no. I want it to be completely appreciated.
You don't respect my gift.
Right.
But
It comes back to respect for Brian.
I'll take your money anyways.
Man, we spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah. How do we steal
That's
it
fun.
when it is not met?
I'm an expert in this.
Are
This
you?
is,
I have a high need for appreciation. You know that.
Oh,
and I
do.
think this is especially the first one.
It's true of everyone.
Right. You give it when you want it. And this is like, be on the lookout for this, because I think with every emotional need, like, this is like the subconscious
It's the flag.
thing. Yeah. Like, we all naturally give
It's so dysfunctional.
in the way we would like. Well, but I think
Give me
that's,
a hug.
Right.
but that's like, I really feel like it's subconscious, because I think before we learn about all of this, we just sort of assume, well, everybody's like us, right? Like,
Yes.
so there's that. That's why I say subconscious. Maybe that's not the right word, but it's, it's with before.
Instinctual.
Yes. Thank you.
And
Instinctual.
very selfish.
And so be on the lookout, because if you see somebody that you're trying to figure out, well, how do I bless them, or how do I, show them?
Well, that's why the book, The Love Languages, made so much sense and made so much money, because you're communicating differently than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do that.
Yeah.
We can also ask about that for which we would like to be appreciated. So
Example of that.
I cut the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel walks in the front door, doesn't say anything.
Thank you. And you say,
And then I
thank
go,
you for
hey,
the
did you
couch."
notice the... no. I say, hey, did you
okay,
notice the grass out there? Or, hey, did you get that envelope I put in your driveway, Brian? Or, did you see your grass? Oh, we're using grass a lot. But you ask about it because you're like, well, they must have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And so, maybe Amy's been asking you to help organize your part of the house, and she's in this big reorganization process.
She is.
And so then you do it, and she doesn't say anything, and you're like, hey, I reorganized the stuff you told me to reorganize. And she goes, yeah, I saw that. And you're like, yeah, how do you think I did? We ask, hoping like they must have just forgotten to appreciate it.
Right.
Stopping doing the thing for which we'd like to be
Ooh.
appreciated. Now we're throwing a little hissy fit.
A little passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of this becomes passive aggressive on the way out. Stop doing other things for other people, or even those people. So in essence, whereas if I cut the grass all the time, well, fine, I'm not going to cut the grass
I'm just
anymore.
taking my ball and going home.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then you go to, oh, you know what? I'm not gonna clean the bathroom like I do every week.
Yeah. It could spill over into other elements of your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Other things. Then typically, you'll draw attention to the fact that your need isn't being met, and this is true of most emotional needs. You start acting out, slamming drawers, stomp through the house. And this goes into some of those relational games that we talked about.
And these
about
are sort
18
of
months ago.
generic reactions,
Not specifically to appreciation.
Silent treatment.
Right. But then really we could probably break this next one down into two, and that is getting the need met elsewhere. Once again, true of most emotional needs. We certainly talked about it with affection.
Dangerous one if you're talking about a relationship that is like a marriage or something, when it is an intimate relationship. Yeah.
It's the top of the slippery slope is the way I would put it.
Yeah.
Because, if a wife is not being appreciated by her husband for just simple everyday things,
Cooking a meal every single night.
right? Well, then she takes a meal over to a neighbor, and now she's taking a meal over to another neighbor, and then she's taking a meal to somebody else.
That's interesting.
And then doesn't really care about the meal at home because they don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so it's the top of the slippery slope because then
Meal. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, man.
That, there's nothing wrong with that. People don't think you're funny at home. Okay, well then I'm going to go to the office and whatever else.
Right.
But you're not fixing the relationship that matters most.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden you're getting your needs met outside of the home or outside of the most important relationships. So that's not catastrophic. Oh, but it leads there.
Yeah.
So when we do not receive appreciation, we will do this with every emotional need. How is it hurt? Because when we are hurt, which is an emotional need not met or taken from us, which we really didn't talk about that at all with appreciation, but that's devastating. Like, if I would say to Rachel, hey, how's the grass look? She's like, pretty crappy. Hey, did you notice that I cleaned the house? Really? It still looks dirty. And you think about sarcastic couples, which there was a sarcastic couple in our church when I first started. They've been married forever, and they were just terrible to each other. And I was like, wow, everything I know tells me this won't work. Now, mind you, they're divorced now.
Oh.
But that's what they do. You know what I mean? Like, hey, did you notice that I cleaned the car? Well, it's an ugly car to begin with, so I don't even know why you would clean it.
That hurts on so many levels.
And you don't even care about appreciation, but you're just like, well, of course you're like, oh, that's not very respectful. But, so that's having appreciation taken from you.
Uh-huh.
What we've talked about mostly tonight is just when it's not met. Well, those are hurts, and hurts go 4 places. The first being to fear.
This makes me so sad.
Go on.
That what you have here, that when fear is where our hurt goes, it manifests into an almost manic attempt to do things better, just in an attempt to somehow receive that appreciation. And that manic attempt is like, I don't know, I just feel that for somebody, that there's this boiling fear, this cloud of fear.
I just didn't do it well enough, and the next time I'm going to do something for somebody, it won't be enough then either.
Like
thawing out chicken.
The old Italian mothers that make a meal or just let's use the meal, like a big family meal. And I just think about all the people out there who have that dialogue, and I got to do this a little bit better this time, because maybe this time I'll get some kind of feedback about these hours of work that I'm putting into this that nobody seems to appreciate. How many people are out there that have that meal? You know what I mean?
And the idea that it's fear too brings to my mind like that. And then there's another level of, okay, and if not, then what happens? Am I losing this relationship? Am I, is it what's...
If they didn't thank me for the good things, let's take it into your acceptance world. If they didn't thank me for the good things I did, well, then how are they going to accept me for my faults?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're just walking around on eggshells in every relationship. Very often, hurts go to guilt. And when somebody is not appreciated, they may believe that they have not done enough to get appreciation. So that same, we can stick with the meal situation. I just, it was just a simple meal. I didn't put enough into it. It doesn't matter.
If only I'd have had the salted butter on the table.
You mean the real butter?
Yeah.
Bro.
And conversely, you might also think that, well, you know what? I haven't thanked people enough. So why should I even?
Guilty, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we can even add, number 3 underneath guilt, which is that our faults outweigh what we did that we wanted to be appreciated. Well, of course they didn't appreciate me. I'm such a jerk.
Yeah, look at what I did.
I gave him $10,000, but I'm still such a terrible friend. You know, so that would be a third one underneath that. Self-condemnation, the feeling that your needs you're not even worthy of having your needs met. In regards to appreciation, would be the feeling that one's actions are not worth appreciating. So it's not that nice of a gift.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I don't give good gifts.
Yeah.
I mean, I cut the grass, but who cares? There's so much I don't do anyhow. And that would go into the need for, if you have a high need for acceptance and a high need for appreciation and nobody appreciates you, you go, well, of course. If you're self-deprecating, self-condemning.
Right. Of course they don't. I'm no good.
I don't give good gifts. Nothing's good about me.
That breaks my heart.
There's a whole lot of people out there like that. And that goes to the feeling that oneself is not worthy of appreciation. So your actions aren't worthy in your own existence.
Your person.
You're not even, and that very person might be real uncomfortable when you do appreciate them because they've been so hurt through their life and they have such self-condemnation.
I've felt that. Like, it's awkward at times. Like, if somebody like over appreciates, I'm like, okay, that's enough.
No, really. But no, those people are out there, and it's not always the people that you think that you can look at and say, oh,
I'm right
they
here, Chris.
seem to right some people in this room, but I'm just saying, like,
it's not always the shy person
right,
that won't
exactly
make eye contact.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was going to say. The people
Right.
with their heads down or whatever that seem to be avoiding. That's exactly right. It's not always those people.
Yep.
And lastly, we sort of talked about this in what happens when we don't get met with anger. You just stop. You're like, forget it. I'm not going to do that for you anymore, and I'm not going to meet your needs. It's the hissy fit, and I'll just fine. I'll go elsewhere. I'll go somewhere where somebody appreciates me, and that leads to a pretty bad place. It's funny when you brought up the meals because I thought of my mother, who values appreciation. But I would like to take a deep dive into that someday, because I wouldn't say she has a high need for appreciation, but you said the Italian mother, which my mother is not, but my mother, the running joke we've even made, how my mother would cook all Sunday afternoon for Sunday dinner, and my dad's parents would come over, and at the end of the meal he would say, "Good dinner, Tom."
Oh, right.
And that like cracks me up so bad. Like she couldn't have had a high need for appreciation, or she wouldn't have made it. But that's almost another way it's not met. We should have looked into that. How's it not met when it's given to somebody else?
Yeah. Oh, that's toxic.
Like when people come up to Brian and say, "Hey, thanks for putting together all the worship," and Chris is like, "Oh, son of a."
And with that, we can do better. I'm just kidding. We haven't done that for.
Funny, but that's appreciation. I think that's pretty thorough. Anything we haven't covered that we should have touched on?
Sounds great.
I mean, I have a high need. It's one of my highest, and it's crazy because I know the people who appreciate me. And you keep a file in your head, and I've told Brian, with all due respect to you two, Brian's number one. If I give him any food, in regards to food, when I give Brian any food, within hours I get within a day. Hey, just ate this. Picture of it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. It's the best.
Yeah.
Whatever else. It's like bang. I know it. No matter what.
Well,
He's got
Brian,
that.
you can't slack now.
I won't.
Don't back off.
You're gonna start making videos of you actually eating it and like enjoying it.
Mukbang.
I don't know.
You don't know what mukbang is?
Uh-uh.
Yeah. Do you know what it is?
No.
Do you know what it is?
No.
You guys, see, I may not be very techie, but I'm pretty much on the cultural side of things.
Mukbang.
Those are, well, maybe we leave a little cliffhanger.
All right.
What is mukbang?
Nobody's listening at this point in time. Only Duke is going, they're almost at an hour. They're almost at an hour.
Keep going, boys. Keep going.
Mukbang are the videos on YouTube where like people just sit there and videotape themselves eating obscene amounts of food.
Oh.
I believe that's
So
what
they want
I
to
didn't
show
know the
off their
word for
gluttony.
it.
Yeah, and they're normally, I'll say they're normally not the kind of people that you would be like, Oh, they do that all the time. You know,
Right.
it's like the small
Little guy eating the 58 hot dogs. You know, like
Yeah,
that
it's-
guy in the eating competitions.
Joey
like,
Chestnut.
You know,
Joey Chestnut. Yeah, it's a thing.
Well, with that thing, we're gonna wrap up episode 158, and we certainly appreciate, we appreciate as a feeling, all of you listening, and hopefully, from our end, we hope that you gain something from this, and we would like to express some appreciation to you as well. If you want to contact us or take the relational needs questionnaire on Lunchtime in Rome, that's a quick way to gain some knowledge for your current relationships and friendships. And we thank you for joining us, as always, at the table for Lunchtime in Rome.
see you next week.
Bye.
We appreciate you. Bye.